Alrighty, we're live. Let me just make sure everything is set correctly. Perfect. Alright, I think I should have fixed the recording issue by this point. I realized that apparently Twitch has a keep your past broadcasts feature, and apparently I had that unchecked. So hopefully now we should have all of our stuff recording, and I'll be able to see this broadcast later and check out how everything is. Sweet. Well, welcome. I think I also changed the chat feature on this as well. So it should be able to come up on the screen, so I should be able to see it while I'm cooking. But welcome to my cooking channel. I think this is number 5 I've done, so this is still pretty new in the process. But today I'm going to be making a Thomas Keller recipe, which is a rhubarb tart, and then I'm going to be making a fried chicken recipe that I've worked on, and that one that I'm actually quite proud of because it's something that I've waited on for quite a bit. So anyway, let's get started with this. So what I've got here is I have the shell, the tart shell. So this I made earlier in the day. So this is a pastry dough, a sweet one, and then I baked it in here. And yeah, now I got this hollow thing that I'm going to be filling a bunch of good stuff with. Alright, and I'll show you what I'm putting in it. Alright. This is some rhubarb that I've been soaking in sugar. So this is all this juice is just straight up coming from the rhubarb itself. All I did was just sprinkle this with sugar and leave it in for a day. And what that does, takes a lot of the moisture out of it. Oh! Hey Steve, how's it going? I actually see your comment this time. It actually stays up on screen. So, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so I'm making some dessert, some rhubarb here. And yeah, the sugar helps take a lot of the moisture out, so that way you don't have all that moisture in your tart, which is a good thing. And so I'm also going to be making the pastry filling as well. Let me get that underway. Sweet. Well, thank you all for joining me. Hopefully everyone who's had finals is done with their finals by now. I just finished mine last week. And glad to be done with them. Just had my last final was my finance final. Barely, well, I think I did okay on it. I think I did okay. I studied about an hour before, but I knew the concepts pretty well enough. It was mostly review at that point. But I did have to leave in the middle of work to go to my final. Because they're like, hey, we have a work day for you. Can you come work on this random Thursday? I was like, ooh, you know, that happens to be the one day I happen to have a final. Would it be okay if I left in the middle of the day? And so they said, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, hi Anna. Yeah, so I'm making a rhubarb tart and then the fried chicken recipe that I've been working on. So that's what's on the menu today. So now I'm going to put together all of the pastry cream stuff that goes in here. Yeah. Well, it was going to be fancy and use all these glass bowls, but I already have limited space as it is on this thing, so I'm going to try and make do with just one bowl. And see how that goes. Hi Auntie Donna. Thanks for tuning in. Is Grandma and Grandpa catching this one as well? And yeah, I believe that this should be, this should be recording. So there should be a replay online to study. So let me go grab the recipe book because this is actually not one I've made before. So let's see. What does Thomas Keller say? He said, almond flour, all-purpose eggs, sugar, whole milk, heavy cream. Well, let me go ahead and grab those. It'd be a pretty bad time to realize if I ran out of any ingredients. But I do have them all, and I think I can make them all fit. Yeah! That's right, I remember rhubarb being Grandma's favorite. Well, if this recipe turns out to be a success, I can definitely make it. It is a little bit involved. I've never had a blind break pastry crust before, so this is my first attempt. It's not the prettiest, but cut up and everything, I think I'll be able to get away with a little bit of it. This crust is really good, by the way. Hey, Chels. Thanks for joining in. Let's see, so it's 75 grams of almond flour and all-purpose flour. So I should actually say that this tart here, this tart shell, is made with almond flour as well. Gives it kind of a nice nuttiness to it. It almost makes it kind of like an almond cookie or like an almond biscuit. I dig it. I think it's really good. And I believe I made one time a frangipani tart with almond flour. And that actually turned out really well. All almond flour is just almonds. Oh yeah! Oh, perfect, yeah. The app that I seem to be using, it has much better quality than the first one, so I'm also digging it as well. And I'm really hoping that the quality stays up for the recording. I imagine it would, but we'll see. This is going to be a good test. That, this, all right. I'm not using any measuring cups or anything because I got a scale here that does all that for me. The scale is going to be a popular theme. Ooh. I put in way too much flour. Let me see how I can fix that. Don't want to put it back in my flour thing because just in case I'm cooking for somebody with a nut allergy. Fortunately, the scale tells me about how much I need to take out. And since this is the pastry cream part, I think I can get away with it being a little imperfect. So, actually, I think I might have plans for that flour later since I am making fried chicken. So, alright. But yeah, finals is over, so I'm happy about that. So we'll get 1 week of relaxation, which is this week. So we'll see how many times I can stream it then during that duration. Hope to definitely going to stream at least one more time. I'm trying to do at least once a week. I'd like to do twice a week. Finals week, it was a little hard to meet that quota, but we'll see. Maybe I'll make up for it by doing 3. We'll see how ambitious I am. Let's see. So, do I have all the dry ingredients? What's together almond flour and all-purpose flour, and then combine eggs and sugar in the bowl of a stand mixer fixed with a whisk attachment. You know what? Let's see. Is that the only bowl I have? Alright. I bet I could get away with just whisking this by hand. Got some eggs here. So it says to use 150 grams of eggs, which not the most helpful telling me how many eggs that is, but from what I found in general, these are in average 60 grams. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with 3. I'm gonna go 180 on this one and see. Actually, I'll go with 2, and if I think it needs another one, I'll put in a third egg. So that'll be 120 instead of 150, going off the book a little bit. Ooh. Almost forgot. Gotta have a little waste container. There we go. Alright, and then this is how much sugar? It says 210 grams. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure that out. And I promise I'm not gonna drop anything onto the floor because that would be no fun. Yeah, this kitchen island's actually really nice for broadcasting purposes. But oh, are we being Mary Berry, the Queen of British Bake Off? I've not actually seen that show yet, but I've heard, I always keep hearing about it. Honestly, the only reality show I've been watching lately is the RuPaul's Drag Race. They just started season 10, and it looks like a super fierce season. Usually there's like 1 or 2 people who are just like kind of and you kind of know they're going to get eliminated early. This season, everybody is really, really good. So it's looking to be pretty fierce. Plus, there looks like there's going to be some drama because there's 2 queens with history, so we may get a repeat of the season 5 drama. Let's see, 210 grams of sugar, if I recall correctly, looks like a lot of sugar. I have a feeling I may need to add another egg to this. Alright. As it says, with a mixer running on medium-low, slowly add the milk and cream. So I'm going to just set this here, and it's not going to crack that. Let me go ahead and measure this out so I can put these away. So this is supposed to be 75 grams of each of this. It's good Shantae stay. Hopefully somebody will be saying congratulations after this recipe's done. Yeah, if you haven't seen RuPaul's Drag Race, that show is amazing. It's like Project Runway meets America's Next Top Model. I think 5 extra grams of cream is going to be A-okay. Yeah, it's like America's Next Top Model, Project Runway, and then like America's Got Talent. I don't think there's any other show that requires as much from their contestants as RuPaul's Drag Race does. It's actually pretty astounding. Alright. I dig it. Get rid of this. Yeah, so I was saying earlier, so making the pastry cream now, the rhubarb I did ahead of time, as well as this tart. My dad invited me to go see Hamilton with him yesterday, which was a lot of fun. That show is so good. Hey Ethan, how's it going? I remember, yeah. And also, thanks for the follow, Ethan. I remember seeing the Yosh 93 thing come up. I was like, wait, who is that? And then I remember thinking, I think Ethan was born in 93. And I think Yosh is like his Instagram tag. So I was thinking that might have been you. So it's cool to see you in the chat. Alright, sweet. So yay! So that's eggs and sugar. And then it says add while this is in the mixing machine, put it on medium-low speed and add the milk and cream. Cool. Boom. So I'm going to make sure to mix this on medium-low, to mimic the stand mixer goodness. Alright, ooh, with the mixer running, slowly add the brown butter. So this is also something I did in advance. So this is 165 grams of brown butter, which is basically you toast where you cook butter in a pan until the milk solids kind of get caramelized and it turns this nice brown color. Super nutty, super tasty. Ooh. And that's about a stick and a quarter. Alright, let's mix that in there. I'm kind of curious to see how this thing tastes. I bet. Whoa, are those tickets? Yeah, no, they were really, yeah, no, that definitely was not a cheap ticket. So that was super generous of my dad let me go see that. So that was super cool. Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was, it definitely deserves all the hype that it's gotten. So I was very fortunate to see it. Let's not drop this cookbook. Let's see. All right. Now while the mixture's on medium-low, stir in the dry ingredients. Cool. Actually, I can just put it all in there. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how this thing tastes like with all the stuff in it. So. I dig it. Oh, yum. It's really good. That's like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. Definitely the brown butter comes through quite a bit. So, add a little bit of nuttiness to this. This is quite sweet. Yum, that is super good. All right. So, go ahead and put this in a pastry bag. And fortunately, I've got a pastry bag right here. A Ziploc bag of goodness. Get this in. Sweet. Alright. So hopefully you guys have some plans for spring break. At the very least, hopefully you don't have to study or that for a little while. Get to relax a little bit, do something fun. Anyone going out of town for spring break? You know, I was a little surprised. It's only a 1 week break for where I'm going to school, but you know, I kind of feel like if I don't have much to do, I kind of get stir crazy. So I'm actually kind of glad that there's something coming up pretty soon. Because classes are actually really fun this term, so I'm really looking forward to the next classes. Normally, I have a policy where I don't cook things I haven't made before on stream, but this seemed too good to pass up. And I was really curious to try it. I'm like, ooh, I really want to try this recipe out, see how it goes. Yeah, okay, cool. And ooh, before I cut a hole in that and commit myself, I'm going to clear this out of the way. Alright, I think I'm done with that. Sweet. Alright, here's that delicious rhubarb. And let me go ahead and move this camera over. There we go. Ugh. I forget, you guys can't see how jury-rigged this thing is. I'm amazed I got this in here. So I have the power supply threaded through the tripod. There we go. All right. Sweet. All right, let's get this construction underway. So, First thing I'm gonna do, oh, pastry hole. So the first part of this is put like a 1/4-inch layer. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this one here. So it's gonna be like a little pastry base. I should have just done a circle to start off with. I think that would have been better. But there we go, yeah. Start off with like a custard base, and then we're gonna lay the rhubarb on top of this, and then top it with the rest. Alright, and it says use a small offset spatula. I don't have a small one, I have a large one, so hopefully that will work. Let's see. Yeah, I got the idea to try this one because I looked in the cookbook and the picture looked super good. And I was like, ooh, I want to see if I can make that because that looks like such a delicious pastry. Plus, at the time I was craving something really unhealthy. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna eat something super unhealthy, I should probably make it myself at the very least, so it's not as guilty. Okay, I think. All right. I don't think I'm gonna play around with that too much. I think that should be good enough for that part. All right, and that's right, shaky cam effect. We're what's the name of that guy who does the Transformers movies? I forget. But we're essentially that director now. So let's see. All right, let's lay this in. So I forget. I think I bought 15 of these things. Yeah, I bought 15 different rhubarbs, and so that's what this is. And then I trimmed them down, although clearly it looks like I need to trim them down a little bit more. There we go. All right. Sweet. There we go. The idea is that this will get a nice ruby red color. And now I'll have to confess something. So for the color on this one, this is actually with grenadine syrup, which is what they recommend using because this is actually peeled. So all of the rhubarb in here has been peeled. So that way none of the stringy outer bits are in here, which is fine. But then you lose a lot of that kind of red natural color. So this has been soaking also in grenadine syrup to kind of give back some of this red characteristic back into it. Not normally a huge fan of dyed effects, but... Oh, hi, Mark. Here we go. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. I think James Franco does a much better impression than I do. That's why he's a A-list Hollywood actor. I'm just a guy who cooks really well. Alright. Now this is a pretty involved pastry, but it's been a lot of fun to make so far. So I'm kind of curious to see how this comes out. If this thing comes out, I'm definitely keeping this in the recipe bank for future use. Now I just have to figure out how to get like quick at this thing. Can I fit any more of this in here? Yeah, I bet I could sneak this in here. I'm not going to do anything else with this rhubarb, so no sense trying to keep it, no sense trying to save it. Let's see. All right. Sweet. Cool. Sweet. And that takes care of that. All right, let's top this bad boy. All right. Boop. All right, this may not cover it completely, but I think that's going to be fine. There we go. You know, there's one recipe I want to try making on here, but that recipe is going to be super advanced. It's called the V8 cake. I know Anna knows what it is. It's a 8-layered vanilla cake, and each layer is a different layer of cake. So, for example, it's not all vanilla cake. Like one layer is going to be like vanilla brulee, another layer is going to be vanilla creme chantilly, vanilla almond dacquoise. Half of the layers I don't even know what they are, but they did it for MasterChef Australia, which is the Australian syndicated version of that show, and I think they gave the contestants 4 hours, and they all said like that was not enough time to attempt that challenge. There we go. All right. Sweet. Spread it a little bit. I'm kind of really curious to see how this turns out, because it tastes really good so far, every individual thing. So hopefully it comes out. I don't think it needs to be perfectly covered, just needs to be generally covered. All right. Ooh. Nice. All right. In the oven this goes. All right. Let's get this back. Yeah. Having taste test guests might be fun. Actually, it would definitely be fun. There we go. Gotta line up the shot. Now let me check how long I'm supposed to put that in the oven, because I really don't want to mess that one up. I feel like cookbooks are the coolest thing. They're almost like spell books in a way. Like they have this. Oops. Yeah, they're almost like spell books in a way, because it gives you like a list of ingredients, and you can make something totally insane based off of really basic stuff, which I think is crazy. Like it's a cool feeling to be able to like combine a whole bunch of basic ingredients like rhubarb and butter and cream and sugar and make something that's super, super tasty. Let's see. 40 minutes, so I'm gonna put a timer. Alright. So that's that. Time to reset to the next thing. Put this away. Now, you guys should see what this place looks like 10 minutes before broadcast. It's like a mad scramble to try and get everything ship shaped and cleaned up. Because I generally keep the kitchen fairly clean. Anna may disagree with that a little bit, but I've been getting a little better at keeping everything organized and whatnot, so. But still, yeah, it's like imagining you're having guests come over, except it's like every week. It's just like, oh, I gotta make sure that like the kitchen's not just clean enough for me to do stuff, but it's clean enough that it will fall under camera scrutiny, or it will hold up to camera scrutiny. All right, put this away. Alright, so time to reset for the next thing. Ah, yeah, that's what I had this thing for. Okay, I'm gonna need to wash this bowl. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, So one of the things I was thinking of doing with the format for this show is I would really love to, what I'd love to do, I'd love to do like an educational cooking video thing, but have it be something where, you know, I could film it, because I think doing an educational format live is really tough to do, because if you're cooking everything live in real time, there's a lot of downtime in between steps. So I think it's hard to fill that entire time with like educational diatribe. So what I think would be cool as a format would be to have like a short video and then do a live Q&A afterwards. I think that would be super fun. And then I'll also have some things like this where I'm just kind of cooking things on stream, just trying them out for the first time. So this next thing we're going to do is the fried chicken. This is something that I pride myself on, but I think I've told people on the slide that I think my fried chicken is one of the better ones in the city of Portland. But I try not to feel myself too hard on that. I let others make the judgment for me. So let me go ahead and get this started. I think you know your own kitchen so well. Where did I put the flour? Oh, there it is. Now I need the salt. It's a special kind of salt. You think you know your own kitchen so well. Huh. I used it earlier today. Oh man, you can't be serious. Did I seriously lose it? I think I did. I think I straight up misplaced it somewhere. I'm probably going to find it after this video is over, but dang. Okay, well I guess I'm going to make some new salt. So for this, let's see, do I have... Alright, sorry for being off camera, had to grab a few things on the fly. So, the reason why I'm a little bit picky about the salt is because I want it to be super, super fine. Because salt is such a crucial part of making fried chicken good. If you get the salt wrong, it doesn't matter what herbs and spices you put into it, the Colonel himself can tell you the 7 secret herbs and spices, and if your salt's wrong, it doesn't make any bit of difference. And to make this, basically, I used to use a magic bullet to grind up the salt, which was perfect because it was small and I only needed a small amount of it, ground it up really fine. And then that thing flew apart. So now I use this. And I'm not using this much salt in my thing, but in order for this to blend up, I need to use a decent amount of salt so it actually can go around the food processor. I'm basically trying to make like salt dust at this point. Oh, this is salt dust. Don't breathe this in. Right. Yeah, that's how fine I want this salt to be. It still could be a little bit better. Because I want this salt to be as evenly dispersed in this as possible. So that way I know that when I'm coating the chicken, I'm getting as even of a distribution as possible. And the salt's not just for the dredge either, which is what this is, which I'm making this for. It's also for the brine itself, because what I do the day before is I'll brine the chicken in a buttermilk salt solution. I try to hit a very specific percentage. 0.6% salt concentration to be exact. So what I'll do is I'll add up the, let's see, throw this away. I'll add up the weight of the chicken, the weight of the buttermilk, and then pull out a TI-89. Figure it out from there. All right. Enough talking about math. Let's actually get this dredge going. So I'm going to be frying a whole chicken is the plan. Alright, so I'm going to do 500 grams of flour. And that's usually enough to coat an entire whole chicken. It's not a small amount of flour. And it's more than we're going to need, but you kind of in general want more than you need when you're coating chicken, because otherwise if you use like the perfect amount, all the brine is going to make the rest of the bits clumpy, and if you don't have enough dry dredge to coat your chicken with, then it's going to be really clumpy the last one, so don't want that. Alright, so that's that. And then this one I'm going for a 2.5% salt concentration because the dredge is so thin. So I'm going to go with 12.5 grams. Don't worry, Ethan, I'm a very salty dude, so it's like living in my element right now. Besides, you should see how much salt I ingest. I need to cut down on my salt intake. Let's see. Perfect. Put this away. Whew. Alright. Now this would be a very serviceable dredge. Just that, honestly. Maybe some pepper in it too. But I do have a little secret spice blend that I'll show you what it is. Salt is the most important part. If you get the salt right on this, then you're golden. You will have, in my opinion, better fried chicken than a majority of the places here in Portland do, because that's where they, that's where they fall short, is not getting the salt right. It makes such a huge difference. I can't be snobbish enough. Indeed, I do embrace the salty life, my friend. Ooh, I need a stick. Alright. So, what I'm going to put in here, probably in order from greatest amount to least, is pepper, salt, smoked chipotle powder, or just chipotle powder, chili, cayenne, cinnamon, and clove. So there you go. I was tempted to make it cinnamon and nutmeg as a homage to the Claggett dogs, but nutmeg has a tendency to really not taste great if it burns, and such a small amount makes a huge difference in this dish that it was just a bit of a liability. Plus, clove has a very nice harmony with everything else, and I'll kind of tell you what I'm going for, or what I was going for when making this. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and smash this up. This is just the peppercorns in here. And there's no special reason why I'm using a mortar pestle. The main reason why I use it is because I don't have a pepper mill, and so before I used to use the magic bullet to grind this up. That was before the thing literally flew apart. I was using it, and then literally pieces flew in general directions, and the thing stopped working. Although a spice grinder would work really well for this, and usually most people use just like a coffee grinder as a spice grinder, and it works very darn well. I don't actually grind up that many spices. Yeah. I dig it. Actually, let me get you guys another close-up view of this. More shaky camera life. All right, sweet. Okay. Let's see. Cool beans. Okay. So this has got salt, pepper in there. All right, cayenne, or excuse me, this is paprika. This is honestly going to be kind of the main sort of base flavor of this. And honestly, right here you have a very, very serviceable chicken dredge. This alone is pretty darn quality. Or, I mean, it will make pretty good, tasty fried chicken. You don't need to add anything else to this to make it good. Anything else you add is just to kind of tailor it towards your own preferences. Like, for example, I kind of like a little bit of heat in there, so I'll add... That's plenty... okay. This is going to make the chicken a little on the spicy side, like to the point where it's spicy enough for you to notice it, and maybe spicy enough to be distracting, but not too spicy where you have to take breaks. Because a little cayenne goes surprisingly a long way on this one. And then this is my favorite thing of all time, ground red chipotle pepper. This stuff is insanely good. This is my main flavoring agent besides the paprika. So let's see, yeah. And that's good. And then just a little dash of cinnamon. Perfect, that's all I need. And clove. I'm going to use probably half the amount of clove that I use is cinnamon. All right, perfect, that's more than enough. Yeah. So the paprika is kind of the base flavor. The chipotle is my own special take on it because this stuff tastes so good. And especially in a fried chicken mix, it's awesome. And then the cinnamon and clove, the reason why that's in there is not just because it needs more ingredients, but because that flavor kind of reminds me of like chicken and waffles, like almost like the waffles you get with like cinnamon waffles with like maple syrup. Without making it sweeter, it almost makes it taste sweeter just because you kind of get those cinnamon and clove notes in there. And it really, really reminds me of like the chicken and waffles with like maple syrup. It kind of brings that memory back for me, putting it in here. And that's what I based my fried chicken off of, was the fried chicken and waffles in Southern California. So, let me taste how this is. What's the salt on that? Does it need more? No, I think we're good. It's going to be a little light on the salt, but I think that's totally fine. Salt's one of those things that's easy to add back. Alright, and let me go ahead and relocate this. Alright, time to jerry-rig this back up because now it's saying that I'm at 10% battery life on my phone. Because I am filming all of this off of my phone. Super budget camera work at its finest. Alright, let me plug this in. Make sure we're good to go. Alright, and... Alright, Why? Oh, there we go. I was wondering why it wasn't turning on. It's because the power strip itself wasn't on. There we go. Sweet. Alrighty, good. So that shouldn't turn off on us. Alright, now time to clear this station because now it's going to be raw chicken time. quick. I was wondering if I was going to be able to finish in time by the time the tart gets done, but I'm already at 23 minutes left on that thing, so we might be pretty good. Alright. Oh, let me put away a few things. Alright, yeah, so this here is the almond streusel that is going to go on top of the rhubarb tart once it's done. So this is basically like almond flour, butter, sugar, and baked until it's like crumbly. So we're just going to hand crumble this onto the thing and make it be like a streusel topping. Which looks pretty good. The reason I need to put that away is I need the sheet tray. I got my whole station set up. Before I got any fried chicken started. So let's see. This is the order. I'm gonna have. Yeah. Alright. I think I can make this work with this small of a space. Alright. Go. All right. Sweet. All right. So I got my oil here. And normally we'd have to wait. Oh, I didn't realize I got flour on this. Let's see, yeah, normally we'd have to wait for this thing to get up to temperature, and it usually takes a long time. Right now it's at 315, so this has already been kind of preheated. I'm gonna get this to 350 is the ideal temperature. There we go. Oh man, I got flour everywhere on everything. It almost looks like a scene from Scarface in here. And then here is the buttermilk chicken. So this has been brining for an entire day. And now, I've got a bucket of bleach water here because I really want to minimize how much cross-contamination I'm subjecting my fried chicken to at the end of the day. So I have this to kind of wipe up any possible spills because this is really close together. Normally I wouldn't have these on the same counter, but when you only have one counter, you make it work. So, make sure that this first gets up to 350. I'm actually going to have you join me on the other side of the counter. Is there a way for me to do this without losing power? Come on. Alright, so let me show you kind of what this setup looks like. So this is this side of the aisle. So got my dredge, got this oil, and then I got a landing tray where I'm going to have everything go. And just as a contingency, I typically like to have 2 thermometers. Not that you need to, but if you happen to have 2, it's nice. So let's see. Actually, where do I make this? I want this. Perfect. So I got a binder clip, basically. I've used that to fasten this thing. So I have that as a visual gauge. And then I also have this, where I can point, and then that tells me kind of quickly what the temperature of the oil is. This one's more accurate because it's actually in the oil. This allows me to get a quick temperature, so if it's way lower than I want it to be, then I know immediately to crank the heat up. But we're going for 350. All right. Sweet. But yeah, the plan is I'm gonna take this, and let me take the lid off of this bad boy. Oh yeah. So I got a whole chicken in here, and that's literally a whole chicken. I have even the backs in here, and the reason why is because backs are good eating. And also, those are kind of my test pieces to see how the flavor and the dredge and everything goes, because once chicken goes in your dredge, you can no longer like taste it to see where it's at, because obviously raw chicken's been in there. So by cooking these test pieces, I can try them, and then I can make adjustments based on how that piece tastes. So if I need more salt, then I add more salt after those are fried. And plus they make good chef snacks, so that's why they're in there. And again, it's a secret fried chicken recipe, but nothing about it is secret. It's a 0.6% salt solution for the brine, 2.5% salt concentration for the dredge. And I don't know exactly how much of the spices I've added, but let's see. So let's see where we're at. How close to 350 are we? 340. All right, we're getting pretty close. I'm gonna see if I can hook this thing up to power, because that would make this a lot easier to try and finagle. Let's see. Huh. Will that work? I don't know if I'm gonna get the reach I want on this. Sweet. Alright, I think I got it. Cool. Alright, and we should get, yep, looks like we are at 350 right now. I'm gonna crank the heat up a little bit. I'm gonna bring that to 9 just because I want it to compensate a little bit for when we put that cold chicken in there. Alright, so let's get to the dredging part. I'm kind of curious to see how I'll be able to pull this bad boy off. Alright, cool. Alright, so I'm going to do kind of just start with 2 pieces. And let's see, let me make sure I get 2 back pieces. I'll try to shake off as much of the dredge as possible because I really don't want too much on there. And the secret, though, I really like really crispy coatings. And I think there is a difference between crispy and crunchy. Some people do like a double dip thing where they dip it in here, they dip it back in the dredge, and then dip it back. I think in my opinion, the way to get the crispiest crust is to make it as thin as possible. And so the way I'll do that is I just coat it once in order to shake off the excess. I don't hit these next to each other because sometimes that messes it up. So I'll actually hit my wrists together, and that tends to shake off a lot of the excess. Alright, sweet, and I think, alright, and I think we're good. Not a bing. Alright. I do. Well, you know what? I need a cameraman. That's what I need. Sweet. So let's see. I'm going to turn this down a little bit now. I don't need it to be super hot. Yeah. I like that. I like that. So it's very fitting with the Michael Jackson that's playing in the background. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. So perfect. What is the temperature on this reading? It's reading for 340. This is just measuring the temperature of it, but 320, perfect. As long as it doesn't like go under 300, I'm okay. And actually, I'm gonna let this coast at 300 because one time I was working at a place, and they had amazing fried chicken, actually. It was one of the few places that I felt like had fried chicken that was on my level, if not better. I was like, how do you guys do this? It's so good and it's not overcooked. And they are like, well, we cook it at 300 degrees. I was like, I've been cooking mine at 350. So I wonder if making it a little bit more delicate would actually affect it. But with the backs, you can really get away with a lot because there's a lot of bone. It insulates it. Oh, excuse me. It insulates it from heat quite a bit. Well, actually, funny story about that conversation. So I was asking the chefs what they cook their fried chicken at, and they were like 300. So I went and told my roommate, and my this was an older roommate at the time, and I told him, I said, yeah, so I found out what temperature they fried their chicken at, and my roommate said, have you ever thought they're lying to you? And I was like, they're my coworkers. I don't think they would lie about what temperature their fried chicken's at. It seemed like a really petty thing to lie about. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna give that maybe one more minute. And so I told some of my coworkers, I said, yeah, my roommate said that you guys might be lying to me about the temperature of your fried chicken. And so the cooks were like, yeah, so did you punch your roommate in the face? And then they said, we published a cookbook, so our recipe for this is like in the book. It's literally not a secret. Not that I thought they were lying to me at all, because it was a ridiculous notion. I just thought it was funny that that was the first thing my roommate said when I told him that. It was, have you thought they're lying to you? Yes. Sure, my coworkers care so much about what temperature they fry their chicken at. Let's see. I always like to err on the side of cooking it more than it should, because I'd rather have overcooked chicken than raw chicken, but I think this is looking pretty good. Also, you may think, actually this was a different workplace. It wasn't that one. The place where you got your uncooked fried chicken definitely was not one of the places that I felt had better fried chicken than mine. Needless to say. Let's see. Yeah, fried chicken. This is just kind of a personal recipe I've been tweaking with a little bit. And I joke a little bit and I say this is like the best fried chicken in Portland, but honestly, the fried chicken scene in Portland is really, really awesome, and it's only getting better. There was a point where it was really weak, and that's when I made the claim that this chicken is like the best fried chicken in Portland, because at the time, the fried chicken scene was weak, so weak. But now it's gotten really good, actually. It's actually up there. So yay! That's the first batch of the fried chicken. So let me plop this back down. And normally in that time, if I'm not filming, I'll get the next batch set up here using the station here. And yeah. So let's see. So let's see, how crispy is this? Sounds pretty darn crispy to me. Again, that's because we try to get this coating as thin as possible. That is the secret to this. Salt. I'm really tempted to add more. It's slightly on the underseasoned side. It's going to bother me, so I'm going to add salt. Actually, on second thought, it kind of catches up to you, so I'm just going to leave it. And you're probably, what are the top 3 fried chicken places in Portland? I would say definitely top 2 is Reel 'Em In. That to me is the gold standard in this city for fried chicken. That's the only place that I had that was the first place I had fried chicken where I was blown away. I was like, oh my god, This fried chicken is insane, and all they make at that place is fried chicken and JoJo's. Reel 'em In is basically a dive bar, and it's not one of those bars in Portland that tries to be cool and be a dive bar. This place is actually kind of like a dark, grungy pool table kind of place, and the only food they serve there is fried chicken and JoJo's, and man, do they make that one thing really, really good. So that's number one. Reel 'em In, absolutely the top one in my opinion. Second one, oh, excuse me. Sorry for doing that on camera. Second one is Tasty and Sons. They just started doing 2 new things to their fried chicken that put it over the top to me. First, they started frying it on the bone, which they weren't doing before. And frying on the bone has a lot of advantages to it. For one, oops. There we go. Yeah, frying on the bone has a lot of advantages to it. For one, you get a lot more margin of error for overcooking your stuff. There we go. Yeah, you got a lot more margin of error because the bones kind of help insulate the chicken a little bit from overcooking. The second thing is you kind of get that bone marrow that cooks into the chicken as you fry it. So it's a 2-in-1 benefit for doing it that way. Let me wash my hands. Let's see, what temperature is my oil at? Oil's at 352. So I'm going to turn this heat down a little bit, just so that way I don't want it to go any higher than that. All right. But yes, so top 3. One is Reel 'em In. Second one's Tasty and Sons. So they started frying it. So Tasty and Sons started frying it on the bone, and they also started frying it in pork fat. And those 2 things put their fried chicken over the top. I don't know if they're still doing that, but last time I checked, which was in December, that's what they were doing. And man, I could not deny their fried chicken was pretty legitimate. I was like, dang, that's really good. So those are the top 2, in my opinion. Number 3, honestly, that'd be really hard because I've gone to places where people said the fried chicken was like fire, and I was like, it's okay. You know, it's not bad. Fried chicken's, even okay fried chicken's okay, but, you know, it's still trying to relive the magic that was Roscoe's Fried Chicken and Waffles in Southern Cali. That shit was amazing. Dude. So surprising concept. Actually, if you catched a previous stream, this is the same oil I cooked the French fries in with the fried herbs. I usually use an oil 3 times before it goes kaput. I'm gonna give that 1 more minute. And actually, you know what? Speaking of fries, I do have fries from my last stream because when I cooked a bunch of them, I cooked more than I needed for the shoot. So I ended up taking half the batch, frying it once, and freezing it. So now I can do a real McDonald's things in here and fry off fries if I need to entertain a group. Okay. I think that's good. I try to usually go by color on these things. Oh yeah, and as I was saying earlier, you think that flour, all the ingredients in here, once it's all in here, that's all the flavor. Actually, how brown this gets actually affects how this tastes. So the more brown you get this, kind of the more toasty this gets. It's similar to if you're making a roux. Like when you make a roux and you're trying to get the oil, or you're trying to get the flour to get to a certain color. The dredge on here follows the same principle. Actually, I really want this a little darker. There we go. And speaking of, in a few minutes, in 3 minutes, it looks like the raspberry tart is going to be done. And I think that'll be probably a perfect place to wrap this thing up. Yeah. But what do you think? Do you think like the format of like an episodic series would work? Like some sort of an educational thing where there's like a video and then a live Q&A. I think that would be kind of fun. I think that's really the allure of Twitch, is that it's got a very live quality to it. So it's very interactive. All right, I think I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and get one more batch started. Let's see where I'm at temperature-wise. 330. Cool. I think I'm fine with that. I'm gonna try and cook them at a little bit lower of a temperature. All right, so I got some white meat, I got some back meat, so now it's time to get some dark meat action. So let's get a drumstick. And do I have a thigh? Yes, I do. Right. There we go. And honestly, a whole chicken can feed like about 6 people, fried chicken wise. It's actually amazing how much mileage you can get out of one chicken if you're frying it. And this is pretty much a 5-pound chicken here, so. Boom. Boom. All right. I'm gonna wash my hands again, get this chickeny mess off of me. In the meantime, I'm gonna use my elbow to see if I can film this to where the action is. Alrighty. I can't believe I've already been streaming for a whole hour. I thought this was going to be like a short 40-minute thing, so I'm actually glad. Because I'm always worried about how to fill up airtime on this thing. And by the way, thank you everybody who's joined in. It's super awesome to have you all here. You know, when I started this, I didn't think anybody would tune in. So I'm super glad that guys are sticking around and you're interested in what this is all about, because cooking is something I really enjoy doing. I think that's why we get into cooking in the first place, is because we really enjoy the process. So let me go ahead and grab that tart. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. And since I'm going to land the tart right here, I'm going to wipe this down with my bleach rag, because I really do not want any cross-contamination, because that would be not good eats. Where is my... Alright. Out of it. Huh. That puffed up a lot more than I thought it was going to. And that's definitely not a bad thing. I'll take that. Let's see. What temperature is my oil at? 310, 3.8. That's getting a little low, so I'm going to bring this up to about medium. Alright. I dig it. I'm kind of really curious to see how this looks when it's cut into. Actually, I wonder, are you supposed to let this cool or not? Because I really want to cut into this like right away. Alright. Let me consult the Bible. Let me see what this says. And this is the recipe I based it off, or this is the recipe I'm using, not based it off of. I'm straight up just using this recipe. It's from Thomas Keller's Bouchon cookbook. Oh, now I just have to find where it is. Uh, Choux pastry? No, that's not what I'm looking for. Where is the crazy hard to make tart page? Oh, here we go. Set on a cooling rack and cool completely. Okay. Well, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how impatient I get, because I may want to cut into that sooner than that. So let's see. Generally, a good rule of thumb is when it starts to float at the top, that's probably a sign that it's done. So I'm going to let that... Ooh, sorry. So I'm going to let that coast. I'm going to move this back. There we go. Alright. And sorry for any shaky camera angles. I'm really less strouting this right now. Alright, I think I'm actually going to turn this off. Just because I'm going to let this coast the rest of the way. To let this cool all the way. I really am worried that I'm going to mess that up if I try to mess with it right now. First. Awesome, thank you. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Now, this is going to be fried chicken for at least 3 days because I only cook food for one person, which is myself. I'm not cooking for anybody else, so they're just all for one person to eat. Although, I always use help. But Lord knows I don't need to eat a whole one of these by myself anytime soon. These take a while, so I want to make sure that those are nice and cooked. Is there a way for me to take this out? Because that's the challenge. Let's see. Alright, moment of truth. Alright, I'm going to see if I can lift this portion out. I really, really hope I don't screw this much. Go. Sorry for stepping off camera for a little bit. Alright, moment of truth. Let me see if I can do this without totally wrecking this. I don't want to be Miley Cyrus and all. Ooh. Oh no! I like it coming in like a wrecking ball. I'm not too worried about that edge, as long as I can... Oh, okay, that's why it's sticking, because there's parchment paper. Alright. Okay. That's it. Alright. Now we're trying to aim for that Thomas Keller cookbook status. We're not quite there, but we can try and trim this down and eat all the little side pieces. Well, and dress this up. Actually,
I think he doesn't even have crust in this thing. Or at least he doesn't have crust on the sides in his picture. Alright. Ooh, that's really hot. Alright. Then I have this. Ooh. That fried chicken's done. Alright, then I've got this almond praline stuff. Or not almond praline, but almond streusel. And I'm sure at the French Laundry where Thomas Keller works, I'm sure they plate this a lot more elegantly than this. Alright. Sweet. Alright, and then just to make it a little more beautiful, I'm gonna grab some powdered sugar to this bad boy. Bada bing. Cool. Oh yeah! Look at that. You can hide a lot of sins with powdered sugar. Alright, sweet. Close. Alright, and that's that raspberry tart action, or the rhubarb tart, and let's just compare that to the book version just to see how closely I managed to match this thing. So this is the book. That's what it looks like in the book. Not quite there, but I have to say that's not a bad, I mean, amateurish, yes, but we got the rhubarb in there. I think probably I would use more of that filling. I think that's what I would do if I was going to make this, let's say, competitively for one reason or another. Let me go ahead and set this all aside, and then we'll kind of tie this all together and see where we're at. All right. Okay. Sweet. Again, everybody, thank you so much for sticking around. So let me go ahead and kind of So as a recap, oh yeah, so some fried chicken action right here. And then let me actually cut a little bit of this. Let me see if I can get that Thomas Keller-esque perfection. I thought I cut that all the way. All right. Hey, how's it going? All right, and basically that's the end of that. So we got our fried chicken, we got our rhubarb tart, and that's that. I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and I will let you know when the next stream's live. Peace.
Hey, look at that timing.
Yeah, perfect timing.